Well, you knew it was coming. Tadej Pogačar, he'd already won one stage. He already won another, both times in the rainbow jersey, and he had to deliver in the yellow jersey of race leader of the 2025 Critérium du Dauphiné. Here we are, stage 7, up at Valmeinier, 1,800 meters, and that's where Tadej Pogačar showed dominance yet again, riding away towards what should be an overall victory tomorrow when the race wraps up after 8 days. He could also perhaps pick up his 100th win if he gets both the stage and the overall victory tomorrow. Today's win marks 98 career wins for the superstar Slovenian world champion, leader of U8 Team Emirates, and almighty sun god of cycling. He's Tadej Pogačar, and he delivered what the critics might say was a boring stage in the final, but what Poggy fans would say, well, this is Poggy brilliance. 130 kilometers, we're up here in the Alps, and that's where I made my base last night, in a beautiful mountain chalet that's normally hosting skiers in the winter. In the summer, it hosts cycling journalists, and in the morning, amateur runners, as I made my way up the mountains, following my colleague and friend, cursing him the whole way as we ran across a mountain. But you're not here for that. If you want to see, you can check it out on Strava. What you want to see is the 130 kilometers of action. Unfortunately, the race coverage didn't come on until we got near the top of the second of the 3 major climbs today, the Croix de Fer. And there we could see the original escape. I think it was around, almost 20 riders starting to disintegrate near the top of that climb. Basically, all that was remaining was Romain Bardet, the French rider, the French superstar that's in his last professional race. Tomorrow marks his last ever race. So we'll say goodbye, Romain Bardet. But today, we were focused on that GC battle. What was to come? Bardet, he tried. He barreled down the descent of the Croix de Fer. We got into this valley, and then there on the valley we saw a show of force by Tadej Pogačar. The numbers were not looking in his favor in terms of team support, because back on the Croix de Fer, these Melissa bike were putting a plan into place. They were attacking and putting Tadej under pressure, and also Remco Evenepoel, who's having a hell of a time in this race. Now, Sepp Kuss had made the escape. He was up in the escape with Bardetto, and he would eventually drop back to join his teammate, team leader, Jonas Vingegaard, 2-time winner of the Tour de France. Also in that move, Matteo Jorgensen, who should be the B plan for the race, and also Ben Tullet. Those are going to be the 3 major helpers. Victor Campenarts was drilling it up the Croix de Fer. Super Victor Campenarts. Then, down in the valley, we're approaching this final climb, the Valmeinier. Never used, I don't think, in a major race, maybe in the Tour de l'Avenir. 16 kilometers long. Before we get to that point, there's a lovely shot I want to show you. The riders are all in a long line. Up at the front is Pavel Sivakov, the Frenchman, former Russian who took out French nationality, drilling at the front. Tadej's last helper. Tadej has to go back and get bottles for himself at this point, and that's the risk when you don't have enough helpers around you. But he said in the post-race interview when we spoke with him, I followed him over the finish line, and no, today I didn't knock him over. Following him over there, and he said, yes, the guys have worked hard, and he was running them thin. And he said, when we get to the Tour de France, I'll have more climbers coming in. Guys like João Almeida, who's going to be racing on the Tour Swiss, which starts tomorrow, and Adam Yates, who is at the Giro d'Italia. So Tadej drops back, goes all the way down the long line of riders, something like 12, 15 riders in this front group approaching the final 16-kilometer climb, goes back to the car, gets water bottles, then rides all the way up beside everyone, delivers the bottle to Pavel, who's been working his butt off at the front of that group, and then drops back in line. That may look easy on television, but the pace they were going, top-level athletes, for Tadej to drop all the way back and then motor all the way up to the front. And we said, Tadej, you gave us a show of force there. And he said, well, he didn't want to do that, but that's what he had to do at that point. That's quite amazing, the power that he used just to do that move. Then we get onto the climb. Romain Bardet is still up there. I think they caught him around 13 kilometers to go. Sepp Kuss attacks out of the bunch, trying to weaken perhaps UAE, trying to pull Tadej out as he did yesterday. This time, well, it worked again. but not in the favor of Ismailisa bike, because Tadej attacks, immediately catches Sepp Kuss. Jonas Vingegaard is the only rider to stay with Tadej, but he's there briefly. He's a blueprint, a replay of yesterday, a Xerox copy of yesterday. Jonas looks back over his shoulder and immediately drops back. He drops back and waits for Lipovic. There, him and Lipovic in the white jersey no longer with Remco Evenepoel after a couple of days there. And those guys start pacing themselves, trying to do their best to hold back one of the air's greats, Tadej Pogačar. Perhaps the best of this generation, perhaps the best we'll see in these decades. Tadej's powering up the road, similar to what we saw in Catalonia last year, similar to the show of force he did all the way through the spring, winning UAE, then a series of one-day races, Strade Bianche, all the way through Liège-Bastogne-Liège. What we're noticing, however, is that Jonas is holding him, or Tadej is not really going full throttle, because it's staying around 10, 20 seconds the whole time. And at one point, Jonas drops Lipovic. Back behind, we see Remco Evenepoel with Tobias Johannesson from X. Further behind them, of note, a keen eye would have noted, right before Tadej attacked, we didn't see Matteo Jorgensen in the picture, so I don't know what was going on. I didn't get a chance to speak with him at the finish. I spoke with Sepp Kuss, who appears to be heading in the right direction after some doubts this spring for the Tour de France. Jorgensen was out of the picture. I'm losing my voice up here. I don't know if it's the altitude or the air. Jorgensen's not there, not in the picture, and behind that, the riders there with Johannesson and with Remco Evenepoel. Jorgensen's somewhere back there also. Our favorite 18-year-old, who I said this morning, when I was 18, I was drinking beers, maybe going to go watch Steve Miller Band play with my friends and get into all sorts of trouble. This kid's out here racing his bike and hanging with the big boys. I'm talking about none other than AG2R leader, Paul Sextus. That guy can ride at 18 years old, and we're pushing to get him to ride the Tour de France already this year. They got leader Felix Gall, and they have the sprinter Sam Bennett, but wouldn't it be great to see an 18-year-old right there in the lineup? All right, we'll give him a break. Maybe he's too young. Anyway, at one point back there, Johannesson drops Remco Evenepoel. Vingegaard had dropped his man who was with him, Lipovic, and they're pacing up to Tadej, who's not gaining a lot of time, as I was saying. And in fact, at the finish, Tadej was letting off as we got towards the finish line, but 11.7 kilometers, that's how far Tadej was solo today, riding up here to victory. Victory number 3 in the Critérium du Dauphiné at the line, putting in 14 seconds, only 14 seconds. He doesn't need more. Plus the 4 seconds in bonus that he gets for the 10, 6, and 4. Vingegaard finished second on the stage, so he got 18 seconds, and he now leads this race with a comfortable margin that should easily see him win the stage race tomorrow when we wrap it up after 8 stages. I noted the good ride of Paul Sextus. I noted the good ride of Johannesson, also Jonas Vingegaard. He gladly spoke with us there at the finish line, and I think he should have, because he was in great spirits. Because after that ride today, you could see he was riding better than yesterday, and you could see after the Pyrenees crash, he's not as good as Tadej, and I don't know who is, but he's on form, and it should give us a good Tour de France. One of my colleagues asked Tadej if we're going to see a boring and annoying Tour de France, if this is getting annoying for the fans at home, and I don't think so. And Tadej laughed it off because he knows anything and everything can happen in the Tour de France, especially with those first 8-9 days or so up there in the crosswinds, the flat cobbled roads of the northwest of France. Set back, get ready, because the Tour de France will deliver like always. Jonas Vingegaard is sharpening his knives, getting ready to go into the Tour, just slash everyone. Maybe even Tadej Pogačar, we'll have to see. Matteo Jorgensen maybe has some work to do, or maybe had a bad day. I didn't get a chance to speak with him. The buses are around 2 kilometers off, and he turned around, rode back down. So he's going to build up towards the Tour de France to be that leader right beside Jonas Vingegaard. What a great day of racing out there, with Lipovic securing his white jersey. Remco Evenepoel, he didn't look great at all. He comes over the finish line, turns right around, didn't want to talk to any of the Belgian press, and there are a lot of Belgian press up here waiting for him. We're seeing the overall classification now on the screen, and you could see Tadej's in prime position to win this race overall. But today, once again, King Tadej dominates all. King Tadej rules the world of cycling on top. Stage 7 in the 2025 Critérium du Dauphiné.